best people, the best conversations. We're on a journey and it's just getting started. On this show, we're driven by curiosity. We want to chart a path forward. The best people, the best conversations. We're on a journey and it's just getting started. All right, everybody, what's up? Special edition, Jack Murphy Live here. I'm just chilling at home, thinking about things, talking to my friends about what happened in the Virginia election last night or 2 nights ago. And I wanted to talk about a few things just to get them off my chest and out there into the open space. It's basically going to be an AMA also. I got about 25 minutes. So if you've got time, come on into the chat. I will be checking the messages and talking to you guys. I want to talk about what happened in the Virginia election. It was very, very exciting. First of all, I was in Orlando at the National Conservatism Conference, and there was a lot of guys there who had done a lot of great work on the Virginia election. We had Christopher Rufo was there, as a matter of fact, and he has been going around the country just smashing CRT to death, bringing it to light, letting people know what it is, what it means for your children. And he really did lay out a roadmap for people to follow. And the Youngkin team seemed to catch on. They followed their data. They saw what was happening. And they decided to follow that roadmap that Chris Rufo and Corey DeAngelis and of other people really put out there. And what was that? That is, CRT is coming for your kids. They've come for your children. They are calling all of your little girls and boys racist. They're going to put boys in dresses in the bathrooms, and if they sexually assault your daughters, they're going to cover it up and not tell anybody about it. You've got the board members, the school board members in Loudoun County, basically putting together a list of people who are bad and don't deserve to be, left alone to live their lives. They were attacking parents who oppose CRT. And all these things came to light, and Corey DeAngelis, who was on top of Randy Weingarten, the school union representative or the leader of the school teachers union, he's been hammering her constantly. Congratulations to Corey. Congratulations to Christopher Rufo and other people. But what I want to talk about is, where did this pushback from CRT come from? And when did it start? We can see very clearly James Lindsay, Conceptual James on Twitter, is doing an amazing job in defining what it is, showing what the history of it has been, getting it out there with his new website, New Discourses, rather. And they have been talking about it for years, laying it out, pounding it into the American consciousness and making it a thing, which is very valuable. And we absolutely need that. And it highlights how we need to have a network of people working together who aren't all necessarily on the campaign team, for example, but are a network of people who have the same goal. And we are in alignment because we want to see CRT defeated. We want to see red map grow. We want to see blue governors get kicked out. We want to see guys like Terry McAuliffe, ultimate trash of the universe, get thrown into the gutter where he belongs. And so this network and constellation of people working, we've got think tanks, you've got activists, you've got journalists, you've got social media people, you've got the guys on the ground in the campaign, you've got parents groups like Ian Pryor. He was on the show earlier. All these people are working together to win. This is how you win. But I want to talk today. Hello, Ryan E. from Qatar. Do you think that this is the start of the pendulum swinging in the other direction? I really do think it is. But I want to talk about where that pendulum, pardon me, I'm getting warm, take off this jacket, where that pendulum swing started from. The pendulum swing started, as far as I can tell, and I remember reading this stuff and participating back in the day in pickup artist forums and men's forums, 2007, and MMA forums and bodybuilding forums. And basically what I'm getting at is that there have been guys out there that have already drilled down on the root cause of this, which is radical feminism. Radical feminism combined later with the critical race stuff, with the race theory, in order to form what is now this current version of critical race theory. But remember, it started with radical feminism and its fusion with Marxism, because what is the theory? That all societies have been patriarchal, all patriarchal societies, all patriarchal societies are oppressive, and that in order to free women from the oppression of men, they're going to have to destroy the patriarchy. And so that is the oppressor oppression sort of matrix that has been set up very early on through a feminist perspective. And I'm not the first person to talk about this. James Lindsay's been talking about it in a more formal way. But I will tell you that we have been talking about this issue, radical feminism and its attack on masculinity, since the early days of the manosphere, which I hate using that word anymore because it's so stagnant and it is so played, and there's so many negative things to say about the manosphere. But I will tell you this, that there was they correctly identified, we all did, the source of these problems, which is feminism, which is this idea that the patriarchal society needs to be destroyed, that the only way that women are going to be free is if you destroy the male power. How do you destroy male power? Well, easy. You got to kill masculinity. You have to end masculinity. You have to destroy the idea of what it means to be a man. You have to shame anyone who wants to be a man and act manly. You have to shame anyone that even appreciates or adores masculine men. It's crazy today. Girls today, if they run into a guy who's masculine, they say things like, "Oh my God, you're a man. You're actually a man. You're actually masculine." It surprises people because they've successfully run a campaign against masculinity. They've done it because it is the source of male power. The source of male power is, to them, the source of the patriarchy. The patriarchy is oppression. And in order to rid the world of oppression, you have to get rid of the source of male power, masculine energy. We identified this stuff back in the day. Now, let me tell you, a lot of the guys that you see today, some of your favorite anonymous accounts, some of your favorite pseudonymous accounts, some of your favorite guys that are using their full name and face, these guys, where'd they get their start, man? They got their start back in the day in the early man blogs. There are guys whose names, I'm not going to say them because I don't want to out anybody, but there are guys who I remember back in the day on the forums in 2010, talking about these very same issues, which then they've talked about over and over and over and over again, to the point now where public discourse on the right from gentlemen like Christopher Rufo, who I love and adore. He's a great guy. He's a nice guy. He's super friendly. He's energetic. He's authentic. I really like Chris a lot. I call him a friend. He's a fellow Claremont fellow alum, and he's kicking ass all over the place. James Lindsay, kicking ass all over the place. Corey DeAngelis, kicking ass all over the place. But I don't think that they were there back in the day on the men's blogs. I do not think that they were there back in the day when we were figuring out what it really meant, what feminism really meant, what the attack on male power and masculine energy really meant back in the day. And of course, it was clouded around a bunch of other, truly some misogynistic ideas, truly some terrible ideas on how to deal with women or what the ideal type of male-female relationship was. Truly some terrible ideas there in the manosphere, which is why I've completely separated myself from those guys. They hate me anyway because I have outgrown them all and I moved past them. And I have gone from being who they were, which was just niche, pseudonymous writers. Now, I'm a public figure with national recognition. And they haven't. So that's part of the reason why they hate me. The other reason why they hate me because the manosphere has many flaws. In fact, the manosphere ideas include things like the reserve army of the useless sluts, right? They describe this idea where men need to get out there and sow their oats and experience a bunch of women before they settle down. But then when they settle down, they're only supposed to settle down with women who are pure and virginal. So what does that mean? By definition, their system and idea of the world includes reserve army of the useless sluts. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like the reserve army of the useless sluts. But one of the things that I did get away from the manosphere, one, self-improvement for sure. Because at the end of the day, when you figure it out, the most important way, the best way to find the most attractive partner that you can, the best woman that you can, is basically just to be the best man that you can be. And if you're the best man that you can be, you're going to get a good woman. And once you figure that out, the rest of the manosphere stuff becomes kind of useless. However, let's talk about this, though. The source of today's pushback on critical race theory, on feminism, on the radical Marxist left. This had its roots in the Manosphere and in the men's blogs of the late 2000s and early 2010s. All, not all, many of the names that you know today, talking still to this day, engaging with high level people, putting out good media, putting out good content, driving narrative. These guys cut their teeth in the forums 10 years ago. They were all there. I mean, I remember them names. That's how I know these guys. If it seems like there's like a group of friends that are leading the way and changing the narrative and retweeting each other and pushing the agenda, it's true. We're all friends. We met each other and known each other for years and years and years. I've known some of these guys like Mike Cernovich for more than 10 years at this point. Crazy. The Manosphere had a huge impact on the election this week in Virginia. There's no question about it. Terry McAuliffe in bed with Randy Weingarten, was in bed with the critical race theorists, which is in bed with the Marxists and the radical feminists. And whether they know it or not, sometimes I question whether they do know it or not, whether Randy Weingarten knows what she's doing, whether Terry McAuliffe knows what he's doing. When they invoke the spirit of CRT, radical feminism and oppression, oppressor access, and all this crap, I wonder if they actually know what they're doing. I don't know. Sometimes I give them the benefit of the doubt, but they prove me wrong all the time and represent evil incarnate all the time. So I'm getting to the point where I believe that they really are nefarious and evil actors. But here they are. They're referencing this stuff. They're pushing it. They want to expand the agenda. They want it to come to the kids. They want it to come to your kitchen table. 10 years ago, when I would write the words that radical feminism is trying to destroy America, people would think I'm crazy, called a conspiracy theorist. You're somebody that's making shit up. That's just pulling things out of their ass, wearing a tinfoil hat, being very much like, I don't know, bad people. I'm not going to name any names. Bad people. But every year, as things go on and went on and went on and went on and went on, I know Conservative Voices University. I know. I'm not naive. I just have not been cynicalized enough. I haven't lost all my faith in humanity just yet. But as time went on, things that sounded radical and crazy and insane and off the wall in 2010, things that I would say and write in 2015 even, that got me ostracized from my moderate family members, that got people that were friends of mine for my entire life, that grew up with me, putting our thumb in the eye of the establishment, anti-authoritarian people, could not believe when I would say that feminism is the root of evil today in America. People they still think, they dream that feminism just means girls getting their own checkbook or being able to vote. We know now that feminism combined with the race shit, combined with Marxism together is literally trying to destroy America. Now, if you go back in the literature and you read Betsy Friedan and Simone de Beauvoir, they are very explicit in the literature about the need to destroy masculine energy in order to destroy the family, in order to get the kids and the wives out of the house, in order to have collective child rearing, in order to implement a socialized collective communism. It's written right in their frickin' literature, but nobody seemed to notice. I know that my family members that call themselves feminists, I know they're not Marxist or communists. They're absolute freaking capitalists. They work for corporations. They have stock portfolios. They've retired early because they're rich. And now they hate me because they think that I don't want women to have rights or freedoms, when really the critique of feminism is about preventing communist takeover. And starting in 2010, when we started talking about this stuff, 2015, I wrote a book in 2016 that was published, or 2017, it was published in 2018. I've been on top of this for years now, guys, years. And so when I hear, like, I'm going to say mainstream guys, I mean, Chris Rufo's mainstream. No offense, buddy. Even Claremont is mainstream compared to what I am talking about. When I hear these people, when I hear Josh Hawley and JD Vance talking about the evils of feminism, man, I'm proud. Absolutely proud. I've got chapters and chapters in my book from 4 years ago about all this stuff. I was writing about it 4 years before then. I'm not taking any personal credit, obviously, but I was a contributing voice and a contributing factor. And actually, as someone that came from the deepest, darkest reaches of the niches of the manosphere, now into the public space, associating with public figures, associating with mainstream figures, being welcomed on the mainstream stages, I am definitely bringing those ideas from the underground into the forefront, and I'm proud of that. I'm not going to back off of that. But when I hear these guys talking about it today, when I hear them talking about radical feminism in a normal stump speech at a regular buttoned up, bow tie wearing, conservatism conference, JD Vance in his keynote the other night goes, feminism is a lie. And he only put 1 or 2 sentences on it. But I definitely found him afterwards and was like, yo, JD, we got to hammer that harder, buddy. We got to hammer that harder. The language of radical feminism rang out in the halls of the Judiciary Committee hearings confirming Judge Kavanaugh. That was when I finally accepted, even myself, that these ideas that we had weren't absolutely insane. There were senators in 2018, when they were confirming Kavanaugh, using the language of radical feminism. Now, the language of radical feminism had marched up through the institutions forever, 100%. They get to Title IX reform in universities, where they finally weaponized the language of radical feminism, where they made it so that university funding was dependent upon adhering to radical feminist ideas, where they weaponized the administrative state of the university system and the millions and billions of dollars that were at stake into controlling men and destroying masculine power. That was something to be seen. I fought against that. I've railed against that. And in fact, in my book, I said that if Trump just fixed that one thing, everything so far would be worth it. And then when I heard it at the Kavanaugh hearing is when I finally realized that it was true, that this wasn't a conspiracy. It's real world stuff, man. Real world. And then in the first address to the joint session of Congress, President Joe Biden, Joe Biden says that white supremacy terror is the number one threat that we face as Americans. That was when you knew the takeover was complete. And this takeover started at grassroots. It started with activists and kids and weirdos in the 60s and hippies and whatever. And then those guys grew up a little bit. They became adjunct professors. Then they became tenured professors. Then they became HR managers and corporations. Then they started hiring people according to their own views. And then as the pyramid came up and bubbled up, they took over university presidentships. They took over corporate CEO positions. They took over Senate positions. And now they're taking over the freaking presidency. Don't forget that Joe Biden was the wokest of them all. In 2011, he fell victim to the 1 in 4 rape hoax. And he heard these girls come in and be like, 25% of all women on campus are getting raped. Help us. They can't even bother with that statistic anymore because it's such horseshit. Absolute total horseshit. Imagine if 25% of women that went to college were actually getting raped. Any man that sent their daughter to college where they had a 1 in 4 chance of being raped should be shot. And they wouldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. Absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. And Joe Biden fell for that hook, line, and sinker. He heard it. And then he implemented the 2011 Dear Colleague letter, which weaponized radical feminism on college campuses, which then gave birth to the administrative state of radical feminism, which has now been bubbling up all through our corporate infrastructure, and which is why today you see corporations supporting Black Lives Matter. All together. All together. I got 5 minutes before I got to run. Guys in the chat, any questions? AMA? Anybody want to talk about anything? I know that people have been resisting feminism for a while, but there's absolutely no question that in the Manosphere in the early 2000s, we wrote about all this stuff. We talked about this over and over again. We were called conspiracy theorists. We were called misogynists. We were called all kinds of dirty names. We got doxxed and fired for all kinds of ideas. Ideas now that are at the center place of dinner table conversations across suburban America. Moms coming face to face with feminism coming home to fuck their shit up, to take their kids, to make it so that boys dressed as girls can rape other girls in the bathroom at school, and everyone has to cover it up because nobody wants to offend any trans activist. Valerie Jarrett is the handler for poop pants. All right, guys, I got 1 more minute. I appreciate you guys checking in on this little rant. I just had to get this off my chest. I'm very, very proud of Christopher Rufo. Very, very proud of Corey DeAngelis, James Lindsay. These are the guys that have been putting it into the public discourse. These are the guys that have been bringing it into sort of common and decent conversation, opposed to me coming up from the dirty, dark sewers of the manosphere. Jack, any way for the individual to counteract? Trillions going to woke corp companies. How to battle woke capital is a huge, huge issue that came up, and there's really no straight answer just yet. JD Vance and Blake Masters have some ideas. They want to tax those the university endowments. Bringing awareness to it. How many red state pension funds are financing woke capital via BlackRock? Pension funds give BlackRock money. BlackRock buys corporations. BlackRock demands wokeness. There are so many people who are paying their pension money in and dependent upon woke now for their retirement when woke hates them, and they actually hate that. They actually hate that. It's a tough, fucked up situation. Cornish Fish and Game, thank you very much. Quote, I want to say that your talk about self-responsibility as a man inspired me to lose 55 pounds over the last few months. Congratulations, dude. Keep it going. Guys at the National Conservative Conference came up to me, numbers of them. You have inspired me to get in shape. You've inspired me to not be fat anymore. Jack Murphy, known public fat shamer. But I will praise individuals. I shame groups. I praise individuals. I love it when you guys shout out your successes to me. All right, y'all. I got to run because I got another thing at 2, but I might be doing this again. I appreciate the chance to just rant uninterrupted by some of my friends. You know who you are. And without me having to give space to my amazing expert guests and wonderful guests that I have on Jack Murphy Live. Guys, come visit us. Come hang out with us in Austin this weekend. Jack Brunch is coming to Austin on the 7th on Sunday. JackBrunch.com. If you're interested in masculinity, brotherhood, and sovereignty, join the Liminal Order, liminal-order.com. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all over the place. Join me for these rants and the chats. I love talking with you guys. I appreciate it. Remember, Manosphere helped win the Virginia election, whether you know it or not. The ideas that we started talking about 10, 15 years ago are now going to become mainstream weapons against the powers of radical feminism. It makes me feel good to see it happening. All right, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and energy, and we are out. On this show, we're driven by curiosity. We want to chart a path forward. Best people, best conversations. We're on a journey, and it's just getting started.